Good afternoon and welcome to the Learn Digital Advertising Daily Newscast. Today's loosely organized news is brought to you by LearnDigitalAdvertising.com, the greatest place to learn digital advertising.
Yes, it is, and we have a special sponsor today. The Sky is sponsoring us.
That's right, keeping us sunny and dark, different times of day. Take care of the sky.
All right, so we got a nice setup of news articles here for you, and we're starting off with Google Analytics, and they're introducing Smart Lists. This is really interesting. I think Rick, you got a little bit more.
Yeah, so Smart Lists is a new feature in Google Analytics that is basically Google's attempt to analyze all your traffic and help to highlight segments that are more likely to convert. So they use machine learning to look at things such as, time on site and number of pages viewed and device and referrer and those sorts of things to basically create these smart audiences, which on the surface actually seem a lot smarter than their previous effort at smart goals. So this is interesting. For those of us who do manage Google Ads pretty heavily, you're probably used to creating segments. Maybe a segment for users who spend twice as much as the average user, or users who visit the site for twice as long. And you may hook a lot of these segments then into your Google Ads to try to bid differently. And this is sort of Google's attempt to try to get a little bit deeper with that, make that less of a manual process, and have their own sort of smart audiences. Now with this, the devil's in the details. What are the details, Juan?
We got some requirements here. You need at least 10,000 page views per month and 500 e-commerce transactions per month. So the Smart List is going to be based on those two factors there, and also based on similar data from other businesses.
So yeah, if you're under that threshold, basically Google's going to look at similar businesses and use that data to help you with your Smart List. So I think that what that actually means is, hey, we got this great feature. It's not really quite ready yet. If you're super high volume, you can use it. Everyone else, we're going to tell you this is a Smart List, but the data is going to be a lot looser. So I think if you're super high volume, I think you got something good to start with. For the rest of us, we'll just have to wait till the product gets better. But that's it for that. The next story are some new features in Bing. And the image we chose today, the tortoise and the hare, Google is feeling a lot more like the hare these days as the tortoise Bing just keeps unrolling new features. And even though Google's got all of these features already, the pace of growth is pretty tremendous right now. But what do we got, Juan? What's going on in there?
They're adding product audiences for shopping campaigns. So now it's always available somewhere else, but now you can retarget with display ads to show the same product that the user has viewed. So dynamic retargeting there, and also similar audiences, which is like lookalike audiences like Facebook, similar audiences like Google, and also dynamic search ads. This has been out for some time now. We have implemented it on a few campaigns, and they're working well. Got some positive results there, so those are good.
And the truth is, I actually thought dynamic search ads were brand new in Bing, that they have been around for 6 months, and turns out Juan's been running them the whole time. So if you didn't know they were there, they are there. And I think from what we're seeing, we had looked over some data right before this. The performance was very similar to Google. Again, the volume's going to be a lot lower in Bing, but the return on ad spend was very similar. So it is a pretty good product. The dynamic search ads are really a pretty good product, it seems like, at this point. And I would say on the whole, Bing, I feel like if you've been managing ads for a while, you know that Bing up until about a year ago just was totally on this like downhill slide performance-wise, and volume's always been low, but even ROAS and CPAs and everything seem to be going downhill. But with the launch of all these new features, definitely seeing a comeback, and it's definitely a more interesting ad network from our viewpoint at this time.
They get a thumbs up for right now.
Thumbs up. All right.
What we got?
Rich snippets.
Okay.
So Google's just announcing a change. Basically, they're kind of tightening up a little bit on what types of structured data can use rich snippets. And typical things that not just rich snippets, but specifically review rich snippets. Things like books and courses and events and movies, stuff like that, products. all still can use rich snippets, but Google's kind of saying at this point is, well, if you're a local business posting reviews about yourself on your website and adding structured data to tell us about it,
Shouldn't be done.
I'm not going to do that anymore. But as you can see from the screenshot, if you're an online retailer and you sell your own product, you can still post your own reviews. So down with the little man, the big guy gets by for now.
Yeah, it looks like they're really focused on the local businesses for this. We did see a couple of other ones. Well, maybe I'll put up some screenshots after. All right, so next up we got Google is announcing a shift in the algorithm to promote original news.
But before we get into that, this photo is the telephone game. And we look for a lot of photos with the telephone game being played. Usually it's children, but this is clearly a set of adults playing this game. And if you would comment below and let us know if you have ever been to a party where the telephone game was
That
an
much fun?
activity and that much fun, because I'm sold on it. Go ahead though, what's going on with
But I mean, it's a perfect example of what this is. It's you take an original news source and it gets spun off 10,000 times and turns into a completely fake news article, and it's not even the original information anymore. So I mean, hats off to Google for this. They are going to be promoting this based on an original study based on 10,000 raters whose feedback helped them give them the guidelines in order to move in this direction. And the announcement was by Richard Gingras. Is that right?
That's exactly how you say it, Juan.
Gingras?
Thanks, Rich.
And then all the goal is to give the original news source more often in the search. You're gonna see that pop up more frequently. So if you do a search for some particular news article, you should be seeing the original source as the most prevalent one.
Yep, so the big shift there from the fresher source back to the original source. So more incentive to get inaccurate news out faster, I guess. Or just get your article posted quickly, even before it's done, if you're a news source. I don't know how you play that.
Yeah. They'll figure out some hack.
There we go. All right, and last, or almost last, we've got RankRanger. Not a huge change, but they're basically reporting a track that the search engine results pages are losing about 5 characters from the title tag. So previously, the average I think was about 55.5 characters, and that's dropped down to about 50. No major impact anticipated, just an FYI. And we will wrap things up with additional ways to learn digital advertising. And of course, learndigitaladvertising.com is the best place to get updates on all of the upcoming conferences. We've got September, we've got Advanced Search Summit starting tomorrow, and that's in DC. Is that tomorrow? I think that is tomorrow.
Yeah,
Digital
tomorrow.
Summit Detroit on the 25th. We've got Affiliate Summit APAC, and that's in Singapore for our friends overseas on October 1st, and then a couple digital summits again in October. So I got the full list on learndigitaladvertising.com, and as always, like, subscribe, and troll us below. Have a great day.
Give us a thumbs up.